Hi, it's Brie, Tom's Chief of Staff. What would change if you had more time to focus on growing your groups and creating powerful experiences for your members? Chair Success Services helps Vistage Chairs do exactly that. Stay tuned, and I'll be back with more information.
Welcome to the ChairLife podcast with Tom Cuthbert. As a CEO coach and master chair, Tom brings you the insights, strategies, and tools to help you build your chair life, where mission and purpose intersect with a balanced work life. This is the path to leading with impact while living with intention. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Tom Cuthbert.
Check out this quote by Anne Lamott. Almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. Boy, that really speaks to me. And over the last many years, I've tried to be intentional about taking time off for rest and recovery in order to improve my mental health, overall wellness, and promote longevity. I want to keep doing the work that I'm doing for years to come. It's significant and meaningful, and quite honestly, I love it. I imagine you do too, whether you're a CEO or a Vistage Chair or a consultant or coach. We're being watched by the people that we're leading. And by not only taking care of ourselves, we're modeling that behavior for those that we lead. Well, welcome back to the ChairLife podcast. And this is the place where we explore the peaks and valleys of leadership and personal growth. And as you've probably figured out, today we're going to talk about sabbaticals. I'm getting ready to leave on mine, and so I'll miss talking to you over the next few weeks. But I'm going to be intentional about focusing on rest and recovery and spending time with friends and family. Today, I'd like to give you an overview of how I plan for that, what my journey has been over the last many years with sabbaticals, and what I do on sabbaticals, how I try to be specific and plan the time that I'm spending, why they're so important to me, some benefits. Maybe I'll throw in a little bit of research to support that. And beyond that, I'll talk about why it's important for you to model it for the people in your life. Lastly, I'm going to try to convince you to take a sabbatical if you're not doing it already. So let's jump in. Over the past 10 years now, I've taken off the month of July. And I've done that by planning it. It's not just a break. It's, for me, a reset. It's that 1 month out of the year when my members very kindly allow me to take that time off. From a practical standpoint, I have others that facilitate the group meetings for them so they have that continuity. I encourage them and schedule them to get together with each other to do 3-to-1s without me. And they know how important it is to me to be able to take that time off. And quite honestly, they also know that I'm a better chair and a better leader for them when I come back. They're not a luxury for me, but a necessity. They're a necessity for my health, my creativity, and as I mentioned a moment ago, my longevity in doing the work that I'm doing. So yes, I started doing this 10 years ago, and I got a few raised eyebrows when I first talked to my community about I'm going to take off and take the entire month to go disappear and focus on my family, my friends, and me. But once I started doing it, they began to see the benefits. Over these 10 years, there's a number of things that I do, and these activities probably do fall into 4 different categories. The first is family time. We're all so busy, and even though we guard our time and use it wisely, it's helpful for us to have intentional time to spend with family. In my case, it's friends and family, it's kids and grandkids, and being able to just do things that I want to do and spend time with them to build those relationships. That's really bucket number 1 for me. Bucket number 2 is adventure and travel. I'm going to go to some interesting places this year, and I'll report back when we get to our August podcast on how some of those trips went. But I always try to find something that's unique, that challenges me, something different than what I would do normally, go somewhere unusual, maybe that I've never been before, and find an adventure. And I think that's good for my mind. It's good for my heart and spirit. And so I encourage you to consider the same. Bucket 3 is give. I always try to take time to give back. Now, during the year, I'm like you, I try to serve our community in different ways. I serve on nonprofit boards and a school board and just really try to do things that are meaningful work with my time. I mentor other people and just from a friend standpoint and try to use the gifts and skills that I have to help others. But in July, in my month off, I'll usually pick a service project, something that, again, is a little out of my comfort zone, that's hard work and meaningful work. And I lean in on that. And the last bucket is just me. It is taking time to rest. It is sitting quietly, doing nothing and letting my mind wander. Maybe it's on the Cuthbert Bridge in Arkansas or on the beach at Port Aransas. Any place that I can be where I've got some alone time or I'm not pressured with friends and family, just kind of spending some time to think and reflect and decompress is healthy for us. And so my places are lakes and bridges and traveling and just doing things that are meaningful to me. I also read a lot. I average probably 5 or 7 books over the course of July. Spend some time maybe traveling at a resort or a place where I can just spend some time relaxing and reading. But I will read a lot. I'll learn a lot. Some of those will be on audio, some will be physical books, but leaning in on that time is really critical for me. And it's not selfish for us to put ourselves in a bucket and take some time to be intentional for us to rest and recover. So for 10 years, I've done this, and I've had some great trips and time with friends and family and some very memorable ones. Even during COVID, a year that I really did not take a sabbatical. I don't feel like we could at that point. Our members needed us. We were in the heat of battle, and so I took very little time off, but I did try to do some things to help me recharge. But being consistent with this and planning this time are really important. And these big 3 areas, rest and recovery, is critical for us. Personal growth is critical for us, learning and just recovering and doing things that are out of our comfort zone. And then building those relationships are unforgettable. And it's really clear that it's important for us to do so. So I'm showing leaders that rest is not a flaw, it's fuel. It's what we really need to do. One other little benefit before we move out of this section is, what does your team learn while you're not there? We talk a lot about developing leaders. And when we're available to be there to teach and coach and mentor and be in meetings with them, we're leaning in on their development. But I have a theory, and I have a theory that if you have great people, which I'm sure you do, giving them the opportunity to not have you to help them make decisions will let them learn and grow. It lessens the dependency on us as leaders and increases their level of confidence and skill. Now, I'm not alone in thinking sabbaticals are a good idea. I'll include in the show notes a couple of articles that support this and a link to my sabbatical page that give you some insights on how I think about this. There's an HBR study that says sabbaticals cut burnout and boost life satisfaction. That has certainly been the case for me. A Forbes article that I'll give you a link to talks about sparking creativity when we're in a new environment. It not only sparks creativity and some new ideas, but fosters innovation. And I've come out of July pretty dadgum energized with a lot of new ideas, some that work, some don't, but at least we're leaning into that. Longevity, I've mentioned, and it's something I've talked about often in this podcast. Less burnout means a longer career. We're kind of pacing ourselves through life. And one leader reported a 30% boost in post-sabbatical productivity, and that's reported in that HBR article that I'll give you a link to. I can't imagine not taking this time. And so you add those things up, you throw in the team bonus, sabbaticals, it's not just a theory, it's proven. They're good for us. And if I've convinced you to take one, let me tell you how I do it. 4 big steps. Number 1 is timing and consistency. I book my schedule for all the work that I do over a year out. In fact, we're working on about a rolling 18-month schedule for our world, and it makes the work come to me, which you've heard me talk about. But July is always my sabbatical month. It's the month that members know I can plan a year in advance. I know that I'm going to be off that month. And so first on your list should be to pick a window of time for you. You don't have to start with a full month. You can start with a couple of weeks and just be consistent with that. But being consistent and planning it as far out as you can is absolutely critical. Secondly, prepare for it. Now, I use a bullet journal system and I remind myself 60 days before my sabbatical starts to sit down and intentionally book travel, block time, identify who's available that I want to spend time with and where I'm going to be. So I go into the month with my time off planned out to the point that I am planning out days when I will do nothing and days when I will be traveling with friends or family. So planning that time and putting it on the calendar, even though it's time off, when you plan it, when you block it off, it allows it to come to you and you can kind of lean in to rest and relax and know what's coming next. And third is looking at the blend of activities. For me, it's planning a trip to Arkansas and watch the sunset on the Cuthbert Bridge. Maybe it's a family trip with kids and grandkids eating some s'mores by a fire pit. It's a service project in Guatemala or somewhere in San Antonio working with family or friends to try to help others. Whatever those things are, whatever those elements are, put them on a list and build them into your month. I even start a year in advance. I have a stack of books in my office. There's 4 sitting there right now that I've been waiting to read for a year. They're not time sensitive. They're just, some are fun, some are informational, but I build up a book stack and I carry that stack into my July. And it's something that I really enjoy catching up on. The first question my members ask me when I come back from sabbatical and I see them in August is, hey, did you miss us? Well, the reality is I do. A couple of weeks in, I start to miss being with members. I start to miss hearing their stories and doing the work that we do. And you know what? I think that's a great thing. It means that that time off is meaningful for us. And it validates that we want to come back because we're doing meaningful and significant work. So yes, I do miss them. And I'm happy to be back. And I come back charged up. I have members say, oh my gosh, here comes Tom. And he's all fired up. But look, the level of accountability in the groups, the pace of the meetings, some of the ideas that I have, all of those things are fresher. And it's a ripple effect in my world. I come back charged up. They get the benefit of that. And for me personally, it's less stress. It's better health, lower heart disease risk. I mean, there's all the psychological and medical benefits of a sabbatical that I feel just like you will. Rest is not just nice, it's science. And we need to learn in and take advantage of that. So I hope that I've talked you into trying out a sabbatical in your world, in this hustle-obsessed world. And let's just see if we can flip the script a little bit. It'll make you a better coach and a better leader. It will help you be whatever you are at a higher level by taking time for you. Check the show notes for a couple of articles for you and a link to my website on my sabbatical page. And I look forward to reporting back what my adventures were in July this year. And we'll see you next month.
Hey, it's Brie again. Have you ever thought, there's got to be a smarter way to run my chair practice without losing focus on the people and the growth? Tom and I built Chair Success Services for exactly that. It gives Vistage Chairs the structure and support to focus on high payoff activities and high performing groups. The result? You focus on growth, you deepen relationships, and you build your chair life, just like Tom and I have done. You don't have to do it all yourself. Helping you work smarter, lead stronger, and make space for what matters most is what we do. Let's talk. Visit chairsuccessservices.com to take the first step. I look forward to talking to you.
Now it's time for Tom's tips and tricks to optimize your productivity and your chair life.
Welcome to Tom's Tips and Tricks. Today we're going to talk about your 3 things. What are the 3 things that you do and really only you can do that move your life and business forward? I love Tim Ferriss' books and podcasts, and I listen to it often. There's a quote that he has that simply says, focus on being productive instead of being busy. And that's a reminder to me about identifying our 3 things. My friend Jack Daly, who's a great author and speaker and has just become a mentor to me over the years, has talked a lot about this concept of 3 things. These 3 important core activities that you excel at that drive results and energize you. And by the way, the list is 3, not 30. We tend to, as overachievers, try to do more. We try to multitask. We try to do everything and be everything to everyone. And you know what? You can't do it. You can't do it successfully. Jack's concept is pretty simple. Figure out what do you do that only you can do that moves your business and your life forward. Jack gave a speech years ago while I was in a room with probably 30 of our members of our community. And Jack was talking about this concept of doing high payoff activities and identifying the three things that you and only you can do and limiting yourself to those three things. Ahead of the presentation, Jack had sent over a box of books, his book, Hyper Sales Growth, which is fantastic, by the way. I'll put a link in the show notes to that book. But Jack had sent a bunch of boxes of this over. And at the end of the session, I stood up and I said, Jack, that was a great session. I want to thank you for sending over these books. And he looked at me and he said, Tom, I didn't send you any books. And I kind of laughed. I thought he was joking. And I said, well, yeah, thanks, Jack. I mean, I appreciate it. I know you're joking, but I appreciate the books that you sent. And he said, Tom, I did not send you any books. And me, being kind of dense, said, well, I have the books, Jack. Clearly you sent them. And he walked straight towards me and he looked me in the face in front of a room full of 30 people and said, Tom, I did not send you those books. Jennifer sent you those books. Sending out books is not one of my three things. Wow. Point taken. I learned a great lesson from Jack that day. And I've adopted the three concept thing since then, and it has changed my practice and my life. So let's talk about what my three things are and how you might be able to think of your three things and how this will help you in your practice in your life. My three things are planning. I spend about 10% of my time thinking about future activities or planning speakers or planning meetings, etc. Coaching, which is one-to-one, sitting in front of a CEO member or someone that I'm coaching and being fully focused on them. That's about call it 2/3 of my time, about 1,000 hours a year. And third is facilitating group meetings, leading high impact discussions with leaders, whether they're CEOs or emerging leaders or other size groups. These three things make up 100% of my time. And these are the things that move my world forward. Things that are not one of those three things largely fall to someone on my team. I'm fortunate. We have other business interests, and I have a great team with a chief of staff, an executive assistant, and a chief operating officer who are all great at supporting us in our world and some of the other businesses that we own. But their job primarily is to make sure Tom is doing his three things: plan, coach, and facilitate. When I do that, our world is more successful. Our business moves forward. Now, two things that I want to throw in here. One is I mentioned monotasking a moment ago versus multitasking. I'm a big believer in monotasking. Monotasking is especially important when we're present with someone else. Trying to do one thing extremely well in the moment is when we are at our best, particularly in coaching CEOs and others. So I am a monotasker. I am a big believer in doing exactly what I'm doing at this moment. As I record this podcast, I'm not checking email. I'm not juggling. I'm not working on reports. I'm talking to you. And that monotasking allows us to be more effective. So I just wanted to double down on that as you think about the impact of being able to be fully focused on things that move your business forward, not trying to do 3 or 4 or 5 things at once. The second thing is you may have heard of the rule of 3, a productivity method. And this is a common thing. So while Jack applied taught me the 3 things rule as it relates to the way he interprets it, there's also a rule of 3 out there. That's a productivity tip. And I'll put a link to that information in the show notes as well. So how did I identify my 3 things? How did I come up with this list? And how do I teach others to do the same today? Years ago, when I first started my Vistage practice, I came out of being a CEO and being in the business world for many, many years. And after I heard Jack talk, I thought, wow, I do a lot of different things. I'm doing things that I didn't do before, and I'm really not very good at many of these things. So my plan was, for a couple of weeks, I took the back of my bullet journal and I just wrote down every single thing that I did during the day. In some cases, it was staple papers together, or book a meeting room, or print nameplates, or have selection interviews. I mean, on and on and on and on. And I had this really, really long list of things that I was doing. And then once I built that list, I scanned it and thought, okay, what am I best at? Where is my up and to the right focus, and where should it be on these things? Not only from a skill and a passion standpoint, but also from an impact standpoint. What are the things that really move the business forward? Knowing that at some point, as my practice grew, I would need to delegate out some of these tasks to others as I could afford to do so, begin to build a team around me that would allow me to do my three things and to guard and control my time so that I'm pacing myself to be effective and drive excellence to our members. So I began to whittle that list down. I began to hire a very part-time EA initially who helped take many of those things off my plate. And over a period of a couple of years, I got down to where I had enough support to only be doing my three things: plan, coach, and facilitate, the things that move the business forward. I then went through the list of everything else that's on there, and I either eliminated it, delegated it, or considered it one of my three things. By building that list, it allowed me to narrowly focus my time, and all day long, every day, I'm asking myself, am I doing one of my three things? If not, should I eliminate it, delegate it, or consider it one of those three things? That has been super helpful for me. I use lenses, which are guiding principles to keep us on track, and I'll talk more about that in a future episode. But these simple questions, and the easiest one is this one of my three things? If not, why am I doing it? And if I need to be doing it, if it needs to be done, who else could be doing it? Or is there another way to do it? So the three things concept has been an important one for me, and I use it all day, every day. It allows me to stay focused. By the way, each of my team members have their own three things. They have three things that are their responsibility, and they know their primary responsibility is to keep me doing my three things so we all stay on track. We're all making the best impact into our business, and we're all moving our world forward. What are your three things? How would you define them? Try it out. Journal for the next couple of weeks, everything that you're doing, and then begin to cross those things off the list. I no longer staple papers or print nameplates, or even one of the things that took me a long time to get rid of was driving my car. So I've now been able to, with my new car last summer, have self-driving. So I've taken that off the list as well. Being able to focus on three things has helped grow my practice, relieve stress for me, and make me more effective. I would imagine that approach will do the same thing for you.
Thanks for listening to the ChairLife podcast.